can Obama revive what are considered to be plummeting fortunes? Can Obama save the liberal agenda? Can Obama overcome the mean-spirited, extremist, racist Republicans in the House of Representatives and make this the nation we all know it should have been when it was founded? Let's go back and listen to some audio sound bites. Let's go back to February 12th, 2013, just a little shy of a year ago. Last year's State of the Coup address. Here is a portion of what Obama said.
Tonight, let's declare that in the wealthiest nation on earth, no one who works full-time should have to live in poverty, and raise the federal minimum wage to $9 an hour.
There it is. The old trusty minimum wage and the old trusty we are a nation of inequality and unfairness. And there it is, the false premise that people live in poverty because of the minimum wage. Another false premise that there is poverty because of inequality. The minimum wage has nothing to do with poverty. Inequality is not the reason for poverty. The government is the reason for poverty. The welfare state is the reason for poverty. We began a war on poverty in 1964. It was led by the president of the day, Lyndon Johnson. Since that day, we have effectively had redistribution of wealth to the tune of nearly $20 trillion, somewhere between $15 and $20 trillion. And we still have the same percentages of people in poverty and below it, well, the poverty line and below the poverty line, that we had when we started. Expressed as percentages, we haven't made a dent. Now, how can this be? We have equivalently, folks, we've essentially been giving people $50,000 a year. Now, it hasn't worked out that way because of the administrative costs. But we have effectively been spending that kind of money. Why haven't we raised people out of poverty? It's the welfare state. Do you realize the welfare state, wherever it's been tried, the history of the world has never worked. If your definition of working is removing people from poverty, making them self-sufficient, making them self-reliant, and getting them off of the dependency roles and taking care of themselves, do you realize that using that as the definition of working, no welfare state ever has? What welfare states succeed in doing is keeping in power those who are in charge of them, those who run them. But the welfare state puts the brakes on human advancement, human ambition, human desire, human education, human self-reliance, human self-sufficiency, human achievement. The welfare state prevents all of that from happening by becoming or making possible total dependence on the state, which requires no ambition, no education, no desire, no upward mobility, nothing. All you have to do is be a sponge. As such, the welfare state is one of the worst things that can happen to a country. It's one of the meanest things a country can do to its people. However, in the current iteration, the welfare state's cloaked in compassion. The welfare state exists because people are in poverty because of Republicans and conservatives. It's because Republicans and conservatives are so mean, and they're the rich. The Republicans and conservatives have all the money, and they've taken all the money from the poor, and they continue to exploit them. And if it weren't for welfare, the poor would have nothing because the rich would take it. The Republicans would take everything they've got and give it to their rich buddies. I mean, that's what passes for political explanation today to the low-information voter, when in fact the welfare state is destructive because it assumes that nobody receiving benefits is capable of doing anything. Mr. Limbaugh, are you saying that this country should never provide for the people who are less fortunate? No. We're a compassionate country and people, and we have always provided for people who are genuinely incapable of helping themselves for whatever reason. But we have not supported expanding the opportunities and reasons for the lack of self-reliance. We count and define compassion by counting a number of people no longer needing welfare. The Democrats define compassion by adding up all the people who get it and saying, look at us, aren't we great people? There hasn't been a welfare state that worked as it's been advertised by people trying to sell it to a society ever in world history. It can't. It simply cannot. Never has. It never will. And here comes the president tonight, essentially suggesting we need a bigger one. That we've got poverty because we need to raise the minimum wage. We need to raise the minimum wage because we haven't raised the minimum wage enough. People aren't making enough, and because of that, there's poverty. That was President Obama last year. Let's go back to 1995. January 24th, 1995. Let's listen to Mr. Hope and Change of that era.
The goal of building the middle class and shrinking the underclass is also why I believe that you should raise the minimum wage. It rewards work. 2.5 million Americans, 2.5 million Americans, often women with children, are working out there today for $4.25 an hour. In terms of real buying power, by next year, that minimum wage will be at a 40-year low. That's not my idea of how the new economy ought to work.
I play these two sound bites just to illustrate for you that the Democrats are peddling the same tired, worn-out, meaningless, worthless idea forever. Inequality, class warfare, raise the minimum wage. And they've been in power for most of these years, and they've done all of this. Can somebody show me where the people in this country on the welfare state or who earn the minimum wage are any better off because the Democrat Party has been in charge?